love you, Buffalo.
As you guys know, for years, we were on the second floor of a building, right?
Yeah.
A very old building. We operated out of an elevator, a very, very old elevator, and we would move gear up and down. When that shop first opened, we were focused on camera gear, right? So it was easy. Like a freight elevator, you're able to get cases down. Maybe on a big prep, you got 5 carts going out. Boom, it all fits in the elevator. When we quickly opened up that shop, we realized how much of there was a need for G&E here, and we were doing it, right? We were doing 5 tons and 3 tons. Well, that elevator quickly got us at that point.
Oh, God.
And even worse, that elevator was so old that it would break down. And I shouldn't say that. It didn't actually break down on us, but we lost power once for a whole week.
So you were gripping an electric your own elevator?
Yes. Well, no, even worse. We decided, because the elevator was so sketchy at the time, we decided not to power the elevator and instead hand load down the stairs a full 5-ton package. That days before the elevator died and the power went out, we moved it all upstairs in the elevator. And we're like, yeah, we got like 3 or 4 days for this. And then the power went out for a week, and there we are, like, hand carrying down.
Is that why on your resume it says you guys can lift 5 tons?
Yes.
I saw that on your resume.
Exactly.
I was like, what?
Yep.
So what comes in a 5-ton package, like, to kind of give people an idea of, like,
and when I say like 5-ton, it was a 5-ton truck. That there is obviously a lot of grip to it.
Yeah.
But what really happens is when you have a 5-ton truck going out, it's the extra stuff that usually goes with it. They'll fit everything. So, like, Honda 7000 Jennies, they're really like a 3-man deal, and we were going up and down the stairs with those, or at least trying to. There's probably about 10 combo mambo stands on that truck that quickly, if you know how to move a combo or a mambo, you get one at a time, right? So it was a headache, and we went through it, right? This was at a time where the industry was slow. You don't turn down any job. Every job you get in dead winter is like, hooray, we're going to crush this. And, there was no ability to be like, hey, we lost power and we can't carry your old 5-ton down the stairs. But we did. So more kudos to Elliot over here, who's probably at the forefront of having to do all that. But
yeah, well, that just emphasizes the importance of being a shop that can operate in the snow, in the winter, in the dead of winter.
It was winter then too.
Yeah, and we had a historic. That was the year we had the monster blizzard once, and then another monster blizzard.
Yeah, on top of each other.
So that's when the power went out, and now
you guys are like the U.S. Postal Service. You operate in rain, sleet, snow. There's nothing that stops you, right?
We get stopped for sure. I think that one blizzard stopped everybody.
Oh.
The big thing, though, to touch on that, is we have a responsibility to the film community, right? Just as much as, when you're a crew member on set, we see ourselves as that. We can't back down on you guys, I guess, in the same of, we got to be there for it. So if it snows 3 feet and I've got no orders, you bet your bums we're not coming in that day. But if we got an order going out, I think all of my guys here, all of us, we're in first thing and getting it done. We're excited about it. It's like working a job, right? Or working a film job for us as much. We come in, we get the gear together, and make sure that we're fulfilling our end of the bargain, for that shoot and whatnot.
So the old location had a major problem, obviously. How much did the elevator factor into you wanting to move into this new location? And then tell us about what you have in store in the new spot.
I'll let Elliot talk about the elevator because he had to deal more with the warehouse there. So.
Sure, yeah. The logistics of the elevator are very much, it has to go up and down, and being on the first floor and having the floor space to operate on the ground indoors and also at dock height, which we have here, is super important, especially in this region. Everything kind of needs to come in and out. Everything's in flux out here. We're kind of on an island, so to speak. Logistically, everything has to pass through the whole state to get here or come from elsewhere. Lands here and then works, and then we're just a logistics hub. We're kind of the central spot, and being on the first floor, having the ability to be away from the elements and have our equipment in a clean warm environment, temperature controlled is super important to what we do. And then, fighting with the snow and these crews, like working in film in the winter, if it's not on a stage, it's on location outside indoors, and you got to work out of a truck. You have to, have the time and the space to make sure everything is prepped and ready to go, from, the trucking perspective. So yeah, it's just been, a whole new world for us, growing into our new grip and electric and warehouse abilities here. It's not even comparable, actually. Different animal.
No, so we are here at Expressway Buffalo, and where is your new location?
We're on Broadway, so we're right at the edge in between Buffalo and Cheektowaga right now.
Awesome. And
we're 7 minutes from the from Buffalo Filmworks, and we're about 15 minutes from the new stage over on Niagara Street. We're also about 7 minutes from the airport.
Strategic.
So, yeah,
very strategic.
I mean, did we land looking for that perfectly? No, it landed like that, but it was a huge point. Additionally, we have other shops, so one of the biggest things is access to the thruway. Being on the outside of the city right here, it actually takes off 10 minutes for our Rochester shop. So we see them, every week. It does help a bit. It adds up over the year, right?
And Expressway they have multiple locations.
Yeah. So we're technically the newest one. We have our headquarters in Philadelphia. We have 2 shops there. We have the headquarters shop that also houses camera, all our office stuff, and now we additionally have a G&E shop there that's about 10,000 square foot. In Rochester, we have a full shop as well. That's about 7,500 square foot. We have a satellite location in Syracuse that is very beneficial in between our branches there. And then now we have the Buffalo shop.
Awesome. Well, we are here with Ben Mannarino and Elliot Spitzer, and we are so happy to have you because we're actually at our first on-location podcast for Podcasting Buffalo. And as soon as I found out that you guys were moving and you're going to kind of expand and do your evolution, we wanted to kind of take it on the road and bring it here to
Heck yeah.
see the place.
No, we're stoked to have you guys here. And I always say it's like I think our patterns of how both of our companies have gone up, happened very much at the same time. So this is like a really awesome experience. I think as we talk through this, we're going to find a lot of those similar moments. Oh, yeah. And even having you guys here now and hearing you deal with the clients like we do, it's just so funny. It's, it's spot on.
We have a wide variety of people that watch Podcasting Buffalo. And you talked about the similarities of when our company started within the film boom. But for those who do not know, tell us about your company and how it impacts our community.
Yeah. Like I said, we feel like we have a responsibility to the film community equal to as like you guys do, or if you're a crew member on set. We provide all rentals around film equipment, from production, camera, G&E, and more, expendables, trucking. We pretty much will not say no to any request around film stuff. And to a fault sometimes. With that said, we also have a bunch of additional services. So we do crewing. We end up being a very big one-stop shop for commercials coming in. They can come in, put their packages completely together with us. We've got your crew hired as well, and if you're coming in from out of town, you've got one day to shoot something. From our end, we pretty much have a full delivered package to your set with the crew, all billed to one place and ready to go. It is a huge deal. We see specifically with commercials, also with movies as well. We talked about it earlier. The more you can get all your items from one place, usually the better. So we try to encapsulate all that. And we tend to not say no to a lot. We're also extremely helpful. Aside from just the items that we can rent you, that is our normal offerings, we will work through as much as we can for your production on whatever ends we can help you with.
If you take a step back and you look at the region, Buffalo, I mentioned earlier, is on an island. Everything that goes on in this city is not really possible without this resource specifically. It either has to come from New York City, it has to come from Ohio, somewhere a little farther out west, certain times even California. So we're in our infancy, so to speak, when it comes to availability for equipment, and just being that resource here we are really the
You guys
only
are like
other
the fine importers too.
yeah, we're really the only option when it comes to a place to start, right? As a resource for advice, as a resource for crew recommendations, as a resource for equipment. Even if we're not the rental house of choice, we have a network of people in the industry and friends of ours who are working crew members and all that. So there's a lot of good resources here, and I feel proud about having given this community such a large shop facility.
Yeah.
Before Grip and Electric was kind of, go to so-and-so's garage, drive around the neighborhood and collect all your C-stands and then do your production.
Who's got this? Who's
Right,
got that?
right.
Yeah.
It's become more of a professional environment in terms of Grip and Electric equipment.
And seeing people notice that finally, is huge. Like it cuts a lot of your legwork off the back,
I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned something again. We all started in this business around the same time, right? Yeah. Now that you're in this facility, can you tell us about the growth of your company as well as the growth of the industry that you've experienced in Buffalo?
Yeah. Going back to like where we were years ago and coming in and thinking we were just going to focus on camera at the time. I think a lot of it had to do with the single stage here at the time.
Yeah.
And also with this, I could go back to talking about Buffalo Camera, I guess, but or a little bit about my background. I had Buffalo Camera going before we were with Expressway, and it really was, along the same lines of what we were doing. I noticed that, like, hey, it's really hard to get gear here, or if I gotta get gear, I'm taking a whole day to go around to all my buddies and pick up a C-stand from him and a combo from him, and he's got the dolly and he's got the lenses, and it just made a lot of work. So I, seen like we had a missing gap for this. Big commercials came in. You had to run to New York City. You had to spend all this extra money that actually kept productions from coming in because it was such a like, hey, there's not a lot of infrastructure there. It's tough to operate. So that's how Buffalo Camera started. And in the beginning, I bought up as much gear as I could. One of my biggest things was to be available for everybody. So I had a website that I would answer all the time. If you put in a request, I would hop on it and make sure that you had something coming back for me.
You drove that beat-up white van.
Yeah. That van is still around.
Come on.
And Expressway renamed it Mannarino.
Oh, I love that.
Even better, most of the company now knows how to spell my last name because of that van. So
you're right, bro. I remember those days.
That van was the Hustle Mobile. Yeah. And me and Expressway got together was during that year out of COVID, the boom, right? Where everybody was working. We had Quiet Place in town. We had Bunker going. I wasn't quite yet in like doing the union jobs, and I was sneaking under the radar, and I was picking up every commercial that was coming in. Nardone and ND, I think they had a section of those in the beginning, and when Matt would get on set, they weren't able to take care of it, so I was really getting nailed with a lot of that. So what I was doing was driving the van to Expressway in Rochester 2-3 times a week, loading it to the gills with gear and coming back and working jobs with it.
You were really living out of that van.
Oh, it was me and Thompson. Me and Mike were living out of that van in his moldy basement at the time. It was a good time. But you got to look back to that, right? And say, if I wasn't young and naive and took those chances, who knows where you'd be, right? So it had to happen.
Talk a little bit about now the growth. Like, what are you seeing business-wise coming into this area versus what you've seen in the past?
I mean, we're finally seeing the boom, and that boom is coming in a way where we're seeing the industry shift. We're not seeing the shoots in Hollywood like we used to. I think we're all aware of it, and it is kind of this time that I see it of like the small markets are happening, right? That is the way to go. The places that are doing the tax credits correctly, that have young, hungry crew like us, that have cheaper expenses when you're in that town to work through it, right? So we're kind of part of that boom right now, I think, in Buffalo. We're seeing a lot of city stuff come this way. The tax credit has really pushed us along. It took time, but we finally were, able to come up behind that. We took years of digging out of what COVID did to all of us. And just in the last 2 years, we're seeing that come to fruition. We've got 2 stages here in Buffalo that are popping. We have promised work for the future in contracts for those stages, which is huge. And then additionally, like I was mentioning before when we were talking, I think this year, as much as last year we had just an equally busy year, this year we're already 3 to 4 times over the number we needed to do in the first month already.
Wow.
And I do attribute a little bit of that to the new facility. I think when you do this was a statement move in a way, a real put your foot down. And I think that statement was the right thing to do in that I think it proved to people, we have receipts, we have, real facilities to do this. And I think it's just turned around and people come in and are, spending more with us and doing more projects with us, trusting us more with their projects. And it's already shown in the first quarter of this year. So.
Well, congratulations so far and seeing the growth. And as you mentioned before, like I feel like we are film community cousins, our companies.
Yeah.
And we came out of, a lot of need in this area. When we both kind of developed, it was like, what does this community need in film and television and commercial? And that's kind of how we were both birthed. Elliot, how do you play into all this?
Well, I'm the lead technician here. I've known for a long time that I wanted to be a film crew technician, specifically. So I pursued that path heavily. And for the grip and electric department, I kind of represent the not so glamorous portion of filmmaking. Everyone who either goes to film school or who kind of gets into this are attracted to naturally the cameras, the directing, the producing, the acting even. There are, technician jobs in this industry that there was a real need when I specifically started working in the industry. And I just happened to be the person who was interested in that. And there were gaps, and there still are gaps that remain in that workforce specifically. So there's a lot of crew needs for the grip and electric department, and I filled those freelance for a capacity, and now that I work more in the technical side for Expressway, I kind of am kind of the man in little terms. I make sure that all the equipment here is in tip-top shape. I also stay relevant on industry trends, and I'm kind of the best boy's right-hand man. So if you have the gaffer and the best boy who work hand in hand to accomplish the task, I work with the best boy to make sure their lists are squared away. And if they have any technical challenges that they're trying to overcome, I'm kind of the resource in that regard.
We could call you the best boy's best friend.
Yeah. To toot Elliot's horn, he does much more than that besides just keep our gear tip top. This guy has to know so many ins and outs of so many pieces of equipment between, and not just G&E, he does it for camera as well. We have an awesome camera technician as well who's growing with us, and that's Eric. But Elliot has been the forefront of, being able to answer your technical questions. If I'm missing something on your order, when he's prepping it, he's able to catch it and be like, hey, you forgot this, and they're not going to be able to shoot without this. So, it's a whole team process for this, right, in many ways. But yeah, tooting his horn a bit. He has to know a lot about a lot of pieces of gear, and it might not just be the best boy for electric. It's the best boy for grip that's calling. It's the first AC for camera, right? There's so many departments, even down to why isn't the heater running for locations, right? So it's a lot, but yeah.
And for an audience to know what a best boy is, but that it is an industry term that basically they are in charge of ordering your equipment. Right.
Yeah, the best boy, and I think it does come through when you're a key grip or a gaffer, it is your best boy, right?
Yep.
The guy under you, he's kind of in control of all your equipment. If you're the chief lighting tech, the gaffer, you go through your best boy for almost everything, right? So yeah, usually those are the ones that I want to say put through the packages, but it is the gaffer does usually put through the package, and then we'll work with the best boy on the back end and throughout the run of show. Broken equipment, things that are missing, things that they need to add throughout that show. And it could work differently based on commercials and feature work too.
And having the title best boy doesn't mean that it has to be a boy.
No.
It's just an old industry term that still is around.
Best person.
Yes, best person.
They tried my good boy first, but that just didn't work so well.
And now we have the best boyfriend, so it's
So it's
He's the good
remarkable. It's remarkable how big this is and how awesome everything is. I feel like your bread and butter is that huge production coming in. They have a resource now to get the highest end gear available. How small are you when it comes to someone like this audience? A lot of times for this show, could be actors, could be people that are trying to do their own thing.
Indie filmmakers.
Yeah. So what do you have as offerings for people who are maybe just getting started out and they want an awesome camera kit, or they need like a lighting kit on a small end? Do you provide those services?
Yeah, we are just as fully open for all that as we are for the large stuff. And I think when people see all this, it gives them this sense of like mystification of like,
it's too big.
Yeah, I couldn't talk to them, and it is like completely the opposite. For instance, if you go through our website, we have a huge resource of different programs and things to get involved, to get your foot in the door. From our internship program, which is probably one of the most important things to us in a lot of ways, that now we have seen it put out multiple technicians in the Buffalo area that are even card holders at this point. That's been great. But even just first-time renters, students that are doing student films, your 48-hour film project, we want to supply and help all of that. And to a small level, like if you're just taking, we carry all the small stills lenses that might just work with your cameras. We still carry small camera bodies, the base level Sonys, the base level Blackmagics, the small tripods, everything around that would, a starting filmmaker would need. We have all of that. We also always try to offer extra discounts to get those people in the door, to help them with their projects. People come to us with budgets where we're just happy to hit it because we want to work with you. We want to see you grow. And, in the end, we know you're going to come back and we're going to get more work with you and work together in the future. So,
well, I think it's very interesting how, the demystification is great because in the end, we were all those filmmakers. Mm-hmm. We were running around saying, who's got that lens? Who's got this camera? Let's all just go together on a weekend and shoot something. Yep. So it's only right for us to try to give back as much as we can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me more about this internship. Because what for Casting Buffalo, our Actors Expo last year expanded. To crew. We had a lot of people that were interested in a lot of different departments. So for those that are watching that are interested, how do they go about this internship?
Yeah. Elliot runs the program for the most part. He's done a phenomenal job with it. So
sure, yeah. Our internship is reserved for college student filmmakers who have a passion for crew positions specifically. Yeah. We have taken the producer, director types before. We're going to shy away from that, but we specifically are geared towards putting out credible crew technicians or people that we feel confident could go to a film set and have a working understanding of how things operate and how to be an efficient filmmaker. So with the internship program, we accept students in the spring and in the fall semesters. Right.
I think 3 now. I think we do. Maybe I'm wrong. I think we do 3 semesters.
3 semesters. We might do a J-term.
So what those are.
Yeah, we focus on the spring and fall semesters for interns. We typically look for interns who are in their junior or senior year of college. That doesn't disqualify you if you're earlier, but there's more opportunity for freshman, sophomore to enter the program if that's where they are. And then it's kind of a full stop track. You come in, you pick your focus. So whether you want to be grip, electric, or camera oriented, and you kind of focus on that track in terms of how to use the equipment, how to handle the equipment, but most importantly, how to safely work with others in the high-paced film environment and ever-changing film environment. So we are focused on the most relevant industry standard equipment, hands-on experience. We're focused on etiquette, the most important portion of being a qualified technician is going on set and acting accordingly in terms of safety and in terms of the flow of production. So we really pride ourselves on anyone who comes out of our program will have a working knowledge of how kind of film sets work as well as the equipment that's being worked on.
Touch on that a little more. To get in it, we have it on our website. We do usually 2 a semester. At least that's what we're able to balance right now. We have it between here, Rochester, and Buffalo. Or we are Buffalo. Buffalo, Rochester, and our Philly branch. Wow. So you can apply through our website. Like Elliot said, we try to focus on like one person that's into camera and one that's into G&E this round. Yeah. And that has been very fruitful. But it also, the benefits coming out of it that we've seen have been great. As much as, we focus on getting these people trained up so when they come out, they can go and find a job as a freelancer or just anywhere in the industry. But equally, we are training you to our standards, and what we do here is a rental house, right? One of our biggest things for us to operate is we have to call on people a lot, Yeah. Boom, I've got 2 5-tons that got to go out tomorrow, and they got dropped on me the day before. Most of these interns, we turn around and we're hiring them left and right. Whether that's day play work where they're coming in here and they're assisting Elliot, they did months of training with Elliot where they get our system, or on the flip end, I try to use them as all of our crewing. Right? I've seen a lot of our interns come out of here. I've hired them for several commercials, and that has done just enough to get them in the right network where, boom, that person is taken off now. All the ACs and all the people that worked with them have taken them in, and they're working all the time, and now I can't even hire them, which is a great thing, but is also a funny thing.
It's a cool foot in the door.
Huge.
That people don't think about.
Not only that, even from like a Buffalo standpoint, because we have so many projects that are coming in right now, we need the crew base to be able to work on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's other cities that will get an influx of people from other places because of that film boom. And, not for nothing, we still want to keep Buffalo jobs.
And something to speak to our own, we do so much crewing where we have to count very reliably on these people we're hiring, right? I can't just hire someone because I heard he's a good gaffer. I'm hiring that gaffer because I've worked with him 10 times and he's never let me down. So when he goes out, he has our logo on his back, right? He's a representation of us. So we train all of our interns, all of our day players up to that level, right? It is someone that we know is going to represent the brand when they get out of here, and not just for
represent
our brand.
Buffalo.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And to a standard or a level where they could walk into any, set of any caliber and any level and understand,
And most importantly, feel comfortable. I think I want to just state that because when you're coming up in this industry and everything is new, at least from my perspective in the grip and electric world, it's kind of, you're afraid to make mistakes. There's a lot of fear behind it, and you're all working towards the same goal when you're on set. And it's a great place to kind of get those resources to feel confident. Coming here and working for a few days as an intern or as a day player, you'll get hands-on with the equipment that you're going to be using, and you will have like an understanding that someone who comes in as a production assistant who wants to maybe transition into more camera specific or grip and electric specific work, they you have an understanding out of the gate, and about feeling comfortable on set. I think nothing can prepare you for being there. Nothing can really. We can talk all day about set experience, but at the end of the day, it's an environment that's ever changing. It's fast paced, and it's always thinking ahead. And when you start to, what makes an experienced technician versus what makes someone who is maybe on the newer side is the comfortability aspect. And that it just like when things start to go crazy, you're able to take a moment and just think rather than
sounds like combat.
A little bit.
I thought you were going to say good shoes.
Good shoes, good gloves.
We have a new rental agent here, and he's a veteran in the industry. He's been working in New York City for years. He's a Buffalo native, and his name's AJ. He says it really well. But we're trying to train people that when you're done with a 15-hour day on set, no one's going to kill you. And that is it, is how
Preach
can you
that.
That is one of the most important things, as much as you can be so brilliant and know every in and out of it, but you got to be someone people are going to like to work with. That's one of the most important to getting called back. Can you keep your cool? Can you be comfortable on set, like Elliot said, and, demystifying some of that, right, as you're out on set. So,
no, that's amazing. I think, a huge part of having you guys on too is that it's an educational part of this. Like we, as Peter said, like we want to keep Buffalo film jobs in Buffalo, and I've worked for a ton of local colleges here in Buffalo. Peter has as well, and it's always about my mind whenever I take a job is more for how do we look at building a workforce. What makes sense, and I think having you guys as a resource in town is incredible because it's next to none to be able to go learn about these different departments that normally people just say either they don't choose it because it doesn't feel as flashy, or it just because it's so technical feels like this giant that they don't want to touch.
I love that when you step back and you look at companies like ours that care, like we're so focused on the next generation.
Always.
Right? Because it's like that is the only thing that's going to build consistency and, a long-term future for this is if we can look to who's coming up next and start working with them.
And we're passionate about it too.
Yes.
And I think it's
You
because
care, right?
it's that blue-collar mentality of we saw that.
Yes.
We care about it. We want you to care about it. It's like wanting to show your friend your favorite movie of all time, and instead of watching the movie, you're watching them. It's that same exact theory where it's like we want to see you love what we love.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a great way of saying it, I think, too, because it is it's a level of passing along the torch and like you said, showing them like, hey, this is why we're all geeking over this.
Yes.
And you're gonna start geeking over it too.
But they're so lucky to have you because when you did it, it wasn't here. Exactly. You started it, so you're pioneers in this area.
We had I want to touch on ND because ND really did years of what they did, but they did it to a level where they needed to be a production company, right? Mm-hmm. And that was what made it tough for outside people getting in to have rentals and stuff. And I know Elliot did, he came out of Buff State's film school, and he went right into working with ND under Nardone. And I think that was a huge thing for your growth and where you're at now. And, I learned tons of stuff from Elliot every day that he learned in a previous lifetime, so.
I wanted to ask you guys, because I met Elliot, you're right, he was at Indy. Yep. We were on the set of Greg Robbins' movie. Yep. That's where I first met you.
Yeah, that was it.
I've known you for a while, but originally you used to also shoot stuff with the camera,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
Here's my question to both of you is that both of you have had the artist experience of shooting, you've been on sets doing that stuff. Now you're transitioning into the business side. Which one do you prefer? Or is this growth to you? Do you ever miss going back to shooting on things? What do you prefer?
Well, I'll tell you this: I don't miss the 15-hour days. There is a real thing to say about finding a job in the film industry that provides consistency. You know, and I don't want to say that in a bad way. I see, you know, some of these stages here now where people almost are close to working 9 to 5s on it, and it's incredible, right? But I love the consistency of having something more consistent. You know, it makes it a little bit easier to grow your life in the background. Yeah. But I fully miss many days of, you know, working with the crew. And it's really the people. I go to set to drop off a light, and I'm getting high fives,
it's the best.
Knuckle pounds, and Ben, I haven't seen you in 2 years, and I'm like, I know, it's sad, you know. So there's a mix. I miss the people, you know. In terms of like, now that we have this awesome shop, I love coming in. And it's just 4 of us guys here, and today's a slow day, and we're gonna build a set in the back to test a new light. You know, we still have a lot of fun and feel very inclusive of being filmmakers. But I do prefer a bit, I think, more of the business side. Cool. I've always been business orientated. So I've also been a big gearhead, you know, where I just love equipment and learning all the things about it. So I think that mashed together really good, and I found my role. But there are just days I'd go back out and do electric stuff, as long as it's not on these majors and it's 0 degrees out.
Since I've been dropping obnoxious analogies this whole time, it seems, I got to ask, for just people who may not be totally versed in what you guys do, because we're talking about crew right on set, and we're talking about what you guys do, which is removed from set in some ways, right? You still have some presence, but removed. So I would say, could you comparatively say that what you guys do may be like akin to, say, like a NASCAR
pit crew.
You know, you have a production that pulls in, right? Your production pulls in. They need things, right?
Yeah.
And they need it fast too, right?
This is a good thing that a lot of people don't think about, and it just kind of caught on for me. And Matt Quinn kind of you know, got it in my head on doing these Great American Family ones. You know, Matt's been DPing these. There is gear that these filmmakers own that they could bring onto set and use, that they, instead of renting their own gear, will rent it from us. And not in a way of like, oh, I don't want to step on their toes or anything. They just don't want to deal with their own gear on set. Yeah. Because the moment that goes down on set, they're still shooting and pulling focus and now being the equipment vendor to fix their own gear in the moment. Wow. You need to be able to continue to shoot, and you need to turn around and call to your next team member and say, hey, this is on you. Can you take care of this? Yeah, and that's what we are. When you get a full package from me and you have a problem on set, it is our responsibility. If you break it and something happened, you know, it happens, but it's our responsibility to get you back up and shooting, right? This camera went down. Maybe they broke it. We're going to give you another one immediately because you need to be shooting. We might charge you later because you broke the camera, but we're keeping you going. Wow. When you're have your own camera on set and you're the DP and it breaks, you still got to shoot the set and now fix your own camera and everyone's looking at you, right? There is a level where it sucks to be the, you know, you get the finger pointed at you of like, hey, this happened. But there is a level of like, you need us to be able to do that, because I've got 4 of us here all with very good technical brains. I'm going to work on getting you the sub. He's going to work on figuring out the problem. And Eric's already got the next one pulled for you. You know, so we are the pit crew for you, and it is such a huge and important responsibility for these productions.
Awesome. Sounds like we got to make a commercial with it now. No, I do want to pull it back though real quick, because we were talking about, you know, next generations and stuff, and how, you know, Jordan said, well, you know, you guys really didn't have the opportunities. Well, I don't think we had them as prevalent, but we all had that person that took us underneath their wing and like believed in us and kind of just said, hey, like, here you go. Here's the tools. Let's do it together. Let's figure out how to make it better. And to touch back on, and like ND Studios, which was such a prevalent company in the area, I was a part of that, you know, and that birth of it, and working those jobs in which they were, you know, indie films to commercials, and with all them, and meeting Elliot at Buffalo State, because we're both television and film art alumni, and it's, from Buffalo State, and kind of seeing that growth and how it's, but you need that person to turn around and sit there and say, no, like, here's the tools, go do it.
Do you have any thoughts on just giving you the option or the chance to talk on what your choice is between doing freelance work and here? Do you have any thoughts on touching on your ability to mix the two? We still send people out on set. Elliot, many times, we don't got a gaffer available, and this guy will go and gaff Josh Allen for the day. Yeah. And it's just like he didn't touch gear, or he hasn't been on set in a year, and he flicks it on and he's out there. And that is one of the best things. Like, we do. Our group here is made up of some really strong technicians where we will fill those roles. When I do crew, and if someone gets sick, it's on us. So there's been times.
That means if one of our background doesn't go, that means we would have to fill in.
I'm going to call Ben.
That'd be great.
We're going to call you.
I will. I'll show up with the wig and my little skirt, and I'll do it,
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So what do you, because again, I first met you on a set, now you're doing this, which is another role. Which do you prefer?
For me, it's more about what I'm providing to the industry here. I think as a freelance technician, I can go do the art and be the technical person there, and that's great for me. But I think in terms of, I want to rope it into the mentorship aspect of the industry. We all had, like Kyle had mentioned, we all had that person or someone to kind of take us in. For me, I worked, heavily under Indie Studios and that crowd and around. And I think being on set and doing all that stuff, I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment. It's the people, it's the wisdom that they pass down to you. And what I feel like I get to do here, and why I think I prefer this, is that I get to do that for the community from a technical perspective. I get to find bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young filmmakers who really have an interest in the tools and who really want to understand, not just the aspect of the art of filmmaking, but more so like the technical trade of filmmaking. And the mentorship for me is a big aspect. I like to be the resource and get the phone calls from someone who's trying to just buy a camera, who has really no background in camera or in the technical aspects of what they provide, and be able to work that through with them, and for me, that's what's more fulfilling than the craft of filmmaking.
And then just tell them we don't sell cameras at the end of it. Right?
Hey, would
Here's
it ever,
Delaware cameras number.
Would it ever help if I called randomly a few times, put on an accent?
That'd be great. I would appreciate
it. A camera that I wanted to buy.
You'll get our homemade waiting ringtone that's just like Expressway in I don't know, like. Never mind. Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, you can call.
So you guys are a big partner with the Actors Expo that'll be coming later in the fall. What has that done for you to be a part of the expo as a partner? And what does that do for the community to have access to you in that way? You've got anyone who comes to the expo can come and talk to you and see what you're all about. How has that helped you, and what does it provide for them?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot more viewing of what we're doing and getting in front of people. Like we talk about, a lot of the actors and a lot of the people that you guys are getting in front of have no idea about us, right? They don't know this part of the industry at all. They don't know that there's jobs, in this part. And then additionally, I think in the market that we're in, we see a lot of crossover, right? There's tons of actors that are also crew. I think it's one of the best mixes. You get these people that see both sides of it, and it makes them do a better job in each one of those sides.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing we've been preaching lately is that it's like, if you're an actor, you should be learning how to make films.
Yeah.
It's going to only improve how
you act. And how you direct if you want in the future, and how you work with those other people.
How you collaborate with every person on a film set.
Some of the best UPMs that I've worked with that say this, that probably never have done this, always say, like they have worked every one of those departments before. Now, most of them lie, I think, because then when it gets down to like, can you just plug that light in?
You didn't do craft.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't do craft.
You don't know this, yeah. But it is true. Those guys, I've worked with some awesome UPMs. They're like, I was a grip one time, and you look at how they deal with their grip department, and they crush it. Because they're like, yeah, I know how long it takes to set up that dolly shot, right? Yeah. But all that, the more you know about other people's roles, the better it will be sometimes for your own role, if you're mastering your craft, right?
We bring that up often, that, you know, although our focus of our business is regarding to actors, you know, some people may have tried it and may not like it. Maybe they like crew. And I think that a film set is a perfect environment to try multiple jobs to find out what you're really good at and what your passionate is. You know,
I think another big thing is now is the time, right? We talk about how the industry is shifting. You know, we're seeing people straight move out of Hollywood into these smaller markets where it's shifting to, and the way productions are made and the way we view things and the way it goes out to studios, right? All of that is shifting. Where I'm saying it to a lot of good friends of mine that are just looking, you know, to get into something. Now is the time.
Yeah.
Especially here, we have stages upcoming. I'm seeing, you know, this Friday we'll have 3 features going in Buffalo at once in January. Right?
January.
And it is negative 22 degrees.
sure.
In
to
the
all
month
these
that we're
cameras.
normally
Right.
freaking out and going,
This
did
is
I
an
choose
anomaly.
this career?
You know?
And that's
Right.
just on the film side. We got commercials.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, we've cast 2 or 3 commercials within the last week.
Yeah, that just
I'd
happened.
love to
Yeah.
take that info, and if you guys want to. That's a funny thing. Just to say it now that we're all on. If I'm hunting down jobs and I'm looking at what's coming up next, I usually look at your guys' posts and be like, all right, what did Harry post for this week? You know,
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
like, and then I'm calling you. I'm like, Kyle,
What's going on?
Yeah, is this company called Harry Foot? You know, and you're like, yeah, that's the one, right? So
You got a production name now.
I should have used a different word for that one. It's just the first thing.
You're
but
gonna get people curious. now.
yeah, is this or New England Toys? Right.
Yeah,
no,
I
man,
think
it's-
what's fun too about all of this is that we as casting directors, like, yes, we're casting directors, we're casting Buffalo, but we all had those jobs that bring something different. You know, like I direct, Harry produces, and Peter
Yes.
acts, and you guys did it. You've done it. You've worked on it. I just had Elliot as a gaffer on a second unit shoot.
Yep.
That was able to like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, I don't know if Ben will let me, but he did it. So that's why he wasn't there that day.
That
And-
mix.
Just blew this guy's
No, that mix
Got him
is the
fired.
most important thing. To be able to watch them still get out and do that, it is like, you know, I think it makes the job even more fun. You know,
and it's fun because then like that crew is again that family of like,
Yes.
it takes you back to that indie filmmaking to be like, oh my God, like I have Elliot as a gaffer, I have Rafi as my key grip,
Yep.
you know what I mean, and be like, oh my God, this is us now aged, but
yeah.
we've aged hopefully like fine wine.
Yeah. No, I mean that is I think that's a huge aspect of this, and truly the one thing I miss, right,
Yeah.
is if I could think of more of like, you know, walking out of the freelance stuff, it's working with the people all the time, you know, and that's why I'll actually come in the prep room just to hear the drama get talked about. And you're like, wait, who did what? And like, you know, so there's, I think that's one of the biggest things is camaraderie between, you know, our shop, between the Buffalo film community here, the whole 9 yards.
So if people want to become part of that camaraderie, how should they do that with Expressway?
Put your face in the door here. You know, that's a lot of it. I never say no to adding people to our Rolodex. You know, we get emails and people's names all the time, and we add them down as potential crew lists. Sometimes we'll get those people in just a day play first, so we see what you're like. Like, do you have good film etiquette? Do you understand a set? Can you just PA? And if that goes good, boom, I've got a commercial, and it's actually $40 an hour for the PA on that, and people love that. So I'd say that's a big thing, and then additionally, it's getting involved as much as you can in all the other film community events. That is one of the biggest ways to get your face in front of people. Getting with the right people. Making 48 hours with your friends, it is, and that's actually one of the biggest things I tell young filmmakers that I talk to. I'm like, try and get on one of those teams, get an idea of what it's like.
Participate.
Yeah, and get your name out there in front of the right groups, right? You remember how people did on your set, and you remember when someone covered you, and what they did for you, and that is what gets you called back.
Participate with a capital P.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. With us, we're going to be talking soon about the next expo and what we're going to go, and we want to make it bigger and better and take it to the next level and sit there and say, what are the needs of Buffalo and Western New York to see where we can take it to. And we're very happy to have you guys as partners in the past couple of years, and happy to continue that partnership with Lemur Studios, with Expressway, and kind of see where we go to next. But that participate is show up to these events, show up to the expo, show up to the Buffalo Filmmakers, which happens every Thursday.
Every first Thursday of every month.
Finding that, I know Expressway does networking events, and it's kind of always doing that. We have one coming up at the end of February here on the 26th, where we wanted to mishmash us with theater, because to us, theater is literally a cousin to us. Especially if you're acting, you should be trying any which way to, flex that muscle and try to beef you up.
I could imagine a lot of your, the first, or people having their first time with you are actually a lot of them coming from theater. Right? Or the
experienced ones. Here's the thing is that, but you don't have to have that theater experience in order to do it. So sometimes we get people that, their first gig, they land a commercial, but, now they want to go back and really dive into it. So then they'll go back into theater.
Now it's go do that.
And you've recreated in the back end a new love for it, right? You're like, I had a great time on set, and I realized I got a voice, and I'm going to go and do it. Yeah. No, that's
100%. And it's like this whole entire episode's kind of been around mystification, and it's the same thing with theater. So we have a Casting Buffalo Connect industry night coming up on February 26th. It's at Road Less Travel Theater. Sweet. And they have a show that's playing Exit Strategy, and we are trying to get everyone in this community, actors, filmmakers, theater actors, theater crew, film crew, to technicians, to come on out and just kind of mingle, watch a show, watch live theater, watch that performance, and then hang out, have conversations, show your face, and kind of build relationships.
That's the purpose, man. I mean, as you mentioned, you got to participate. You got to be out in the community. You got to come through those doors. They got to call you. They got to call us. You have to participate. I tell people all the time that if this is what you're interested in, you got to dive in. You got to be a part of that group. We're all the same group of people that are we're after the same thing. We're all artists. At the end of the day.
Huge.
It's probably a great moment to dive into my background in terms of diving in. I think that stands out to me as one thing that an advantage of being a film student. I come from the Buff State TFA program, is that you're fully immersed in it, and that is really important to anyone who wants to get into this industry, into acting crew, is to just dive in head first and see what's out there. This community in Buffalo has grown paramount since its infancy. Now we're to a point where there's a lot of available resources, us, Casting Buffalo, even just social media pages that discuss what's going on in the industry in Buffalo. So dive in head first, and that will get you very far. And then second is ask the right questions, not necessarily the right ones, but when it comes to the technical side of filmmaking, it's almost like a foreign language. There's a lot of terms, there's a lot of things that you just don't you won't know. And part of becoming a technician and becoming comfortable in that role is learning that language and learning what we're talking about when we say a platypus, or
I think it's the funniest thing for the interns and the day players that come in. They look at us and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm Elliot. We can't put the F-23 on the F-11. We're gonna need a center mount for that. You want fries with that? Yeah. No, it is. And they're like,
"Is that a chess move?" I don't.
And then when you're demystifying it in this environment specifically, it's a lot more approachable than when you're under the pressure of being having to be pictures up.
Find me the sound grip.
Or the dolly key.
I'm sorry, what is that?
Can you get me the dolly key, please?
Exactly. Yeah. It's all those things of
if someone asks you for the dolly key, just get it. That's one thing to know,
I'm looking for a key.
And the person that asks you for it does care about you. Yeah.
A lot of people in this industry are super happy to share the knowledge that they have, and that's been part of diving in. It's great to see this community and where it's come from, where it's gone, where we're headed, is that we're not in the business of gatekeeping any of this information. It all needs to be information that we pass down to the next generation of filmmakers, passing the torch and growing the pool of people who are interested in it. So I just feel like I said earlier, I feel really proud of being able to share what information that I have and am happy to do so. So please ask questions.
We're a nerdy little club that actually keeps the door open and says, come be a part of this. Please, we need more friends.
There's a true sense of fulfillment we all, I think, get from this, right? And even it's so weird, but, back when I would gaff or I was shooting, you'd get that feeling of this just looks great and I did it, and that is awesome. And now when you see a production go out and I'm like, how did we get all that here in one day? And we're all proud, and to look around at the team and the chemistry we've built together and the things that we're accomplishing together now, it's huge. And even shout out to all our other branches, huge, our Philly branch, our Rochester branch, on how they have helped lift this region. We don't realize it, but our Philly guys really took a chance on this, and it has paid off huge for them. But, it's paid off huge for us. I've stolen so many ideas of what they have done and what they have built in Philly and tried to bring it here, and it has benefited us so much.
There's definitely something to be said about reflecting on where we are, what we've gotten to right now. I think just earlier, even today, I was thinking to myself about how, as a casting company, we can say to people, we've cast thousands of people in movies here, and just thinking about that alone, that statement alone, that's something to be said. You guys can say, not only did you carry a 5-ton package down the steps, but you probably provided a lot more weight than that to productions, right? So there's a lot to be proud of when we think about it.
We have the receipts, and it took time, right, for all of us, because you needed them to come in. But I think we looked to last year. I think we main packaged almost 12 or 15 films here, which is huge. Nice. Films usually, even to have one every month is huge, so to do over one a month was phenomenal for us, and phenomenal to see it here in the region.
I mean, right? I remember back in the day where it was what film's coming in this year? What film, singular? And now it's, oh my God, this
when will we have a break?
Yeah, exactly.
This year?
When can we have a break? I just want to wrap it up here and say thank you guys. This was a great sit down to help educate and learn about you guys, and just have a great conversations is what we really want to do. And I'm really happy that we got to come on location to do this. And to continue our partnership. So thank you so much for being on here.
I mean, listen, Lemur Studios too.
Congratulations on all your success, with this thing. As one community, we couldn't do our jobs without you.
And we couldn't do our jobs without you guys.
Come on, man.
No, it is. I mean, reflecting again and seeing how much we are similar, the amount of care that we all carry here for the community and the growth of this, it goes way past just being business guys and what we're doing. Like I said, there's a serious, amount of fulfillment at the end of the day of doing this, of like, we're doing something for the good, we're doing something for the community. And you look around at the growth, and a lot of that has to do with us. Right, and
you ain't got that white van no more.
Yeah,
you said you do have the white van.
You do have the white van.
We ain't driving it no more though.
In the back, there's a new Mercedes truck too.
So okay,
and even funnier, that van will probably still outlast a lot of our other vehicles.
Yeah,
we joke about it.
Can you bring the van to the expo this year?
We probably won't. We took off the free ice cream things on it, so they don't allow us near places with that anymore. But it is. I'm joking. It looks like one of those old creeper vans, right? But
Mannarino.
A lot of jobs out of that van.
Awesome. I remember, man.
I did all the Gronkowski brothers in one shoot for a week with that van.
Oh my
and I
God.
mean, like, they would see the van every day outside of their nice gym, and no one said a thing about it. And they liked us, It just, I think of, like, man, the places I took that van to some very high-end sets that it was like, it's probably been worth it to go to Enterprise for this one, But you got to start somewhere.
Amazing.
Sure.
Thank you guys. That was incredible. We'll talk to you guys soon. We have more things in the works. We'll keep that conversation lines open. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Podcasting Buffalo. That's a wrap.
I love you.